shopping malls, fast food joints, pizzerias, cake shops, and coffee shops are set to add a completely new retail gameplay in Capitalism Lab. Plus, logistics, import and export companies introduce entirely new revenue streams, adding more depth to our applied business strategies. Welcome to the Light Proton channel. Here, we explore Capitalism Lab and other business, transportation and trading simulation games. In each video and stream, I break down the key concepts and provide insights in the description to enhance our experience. Occasionally, we take on challenge games and scenarios and work through them step by step. The new Service Industry DLC for Capitalism Lab version 11, released in March 2025, brings new industries, game mechanics, and challenges to retail, trading, and logistics. Today, we will explore these features in depth and see how they impact the gameplay. With the Service Industry DLC, Capitalism Lab expands retail gameplay significantly. Shopping malls introduce a new way to structure retail businesses. Instead of operating individual stores scattered across the city, players can now establish malls that house multiple shops under one roof. This means higher foot traffic and increased revenue opportunities, but also much tougher competition. More retail stores will persist in urban areas, making it crucial to plan locations strategically. Additionally, a new game mechanic comes into play. Service firms, such as coffee shops, fast food joints, pizzerias, and cake shops, attract customers to malls and retail spaces, boosting sales for nearby businesses. This means strategic placement of service firms will be essential for maximizing profits and leveraging synergies across different types of stores. Another major extension comes with the introduction of logistics, import and export companies. Freight is no longer just an expense. Logistic companies can now operate as profit-generating businesses. By managing logistics efficiently, companies can turn what was once a cost center into a revenue stream. Additionally, export companies allow corporations to sell excess production to overseas export clients, provided that these export clients are actually interested in the products being offered. Meanwhile, import companies help secure resources that may not be existing or scarce in the local market, providing an alternative way to obtain raw materials and semi-products. This adds a new layer of complexity to supply chain management, making global trade an integral part of a company's growth strategy. Another exciting new strategic element introduced in this Service Industry DLC is the use of knowledge points for import and export deals. Players now need to carefully decide whether to invest knowledge points in their own personal expertise, for instance, to accelerate technological growth and efficiency, or to use them for securing specific import and export deals. This forces corporations to weigh long-term development against immediate supply chain needs, adding an entirely new layer of decision-making. Beyond retail and logistics, the Service Industry DLC also expands the real estate sector. Apartment and commercial buildings can now include retail spaces, allowing businesses to generate revenue from both rent and sales. This mixed use of property system introduces new challenges, as players must balance real estate investment with business expansion. Owning high-traffic buildings can be highly profitable, but competition for prime locations will be intense. With all these additions, the range of products and business opportunities has expanded significantly. Service firms can now prepare and sell a variety of new food and coffee products, including, for example, cappuccino, hamburgers, Parma pizza, and strawberry cake. These products rely on semi-products and raw ingredients, often requiring complex supply chains involving farming, livestock, and food processing. These items require careful planning to ensure a complete supply chain for ingredients, crops, semi-products, food, and coffee products. While service firms can prepare and sell these items directly, some ingredients can also be distributed through retail stores, creating additional revenue streams. Setting up a successful service business requires a well-planned roadmap, as early gaps in the supply chain can lead to financial struggles or even bankruptcy. Since this expansion significantly impacts farming, food processing, and retailing, I'll be dedicating a future session to exploring service firms in greater detail. However, we will also take a first look at them in today's gameplay. An exciting part of this service industry DLC is also how it affects the competitive landscape. We have new entrepreneurial opportunities, but also the AI can leverage on synergies between shopping malls, service firms, and logistics. It will actively pursue these retail opportunities, making competition tougher than ever. Players must develop a well-structured strategy to stay ahead, optimizing their retail networks, supply chain and logistics operations, and service placements to outmaneuver AI-controlled corporations. The ability to create strong synergies between business units is now a key strategic advantage. But the AI will recognize and exploit the same opportunities, pushing competition to a new level. The service industry DLC extends Capitalism Lab into a more complex, competitive, and engaging business simulation. With shopping malls, service firms, logistics, import and export companies, as well as retailing integration into real estate, the gameplay now demands more strategic thinking. Retailing synergies have become a more focal point, and managing business expansion requires a careful balance of supply chains, trade deals, and competitive positioning. I've linked the official Capitalism Lab DLC page in the video description for more details. Capitalism Lab is an exceptional business simulation that mirrors some of our real-world economics. We can build our own corporation, experiment with business strategies, and explore concepts inspired by real-world examples. Developed and continually enhanced by Enlight Software, Capitalism Lab has been evolving for many years, shaped by close collaboration with its community. Now, let's jump into the game and explore these new features firsthand. Welcome to the game main menu. In this session, we will explore the new features and new content in the service industry DLC. Therefore, we will start a new game, a custom game. I've prepared a script to have a quick start into the game and have an easy way to explore all of the new features. Let's start. Here we are in the game, set up with 4 cities, enough to explore what is possible and what is provided by the new service industry DLC. Usually, when we start to establish our corporation and set up our businesses, we will go to the build menu, and while navigating here, we will immediately spot the new building types: service firms, shopping malls, import and export company, as well as logistics company. And let's now, right from the start with a new service firm. And there are 4 different kinds of service firms: pizzerias, fast food joints, cake shops, and coffee shops. And to look how it looks like in the new DLC, we will first start to build a coffee shop in this city. Let's find a place with high customer traffic. For example, here with a customer traffic index of 42. This is how the coffee shop looks like from the inside. We can, like in any retail firm, set up training, and we can set up a new layout. And therefore, we will here click on the book and see the Caffè Americano we can prepare in this coffee shop and set it up as a new layout. This is how it looks like. And we see here what we need. We need coffee beans, paper, and again, coffee beans. Do we have everything what is required? For paper, We can import it to the nearby seaport. Easy. For coffee beans, let's check. There's no source so far. What to do now? To not keep this empty, not providing and preparing any coffee americano to its customers. We can now make use of what helps us if products are not available in the new service industry DLC. This is setting up an import firm, an import company, and importing what is missing in the local market. So this is the import company, and here we find an option to add a new import. This is available for an import. And actually, while quickly viewing over it, there's no coffee beans provided. What to do now? There's an option where we can invest knowledge points to specifically add a certain product type for as an import option. And this way, we will now set up to import coffee beans. Use knowledge points. What happened now is that from the beginning, from the starting, 24 knowledge points, 3 knowledge points have been deducted so that we now can ensure that coffee beans are provided by our import company. Having done that, we can now navigate back to our service firm, the coffee shop, and link to the imported coffee beans. Having done that, we can now start operations. Let's start to simulate the first days. And here we are. The new Cafe Americano is first time provided in the coffee shop. We see here the overall rating. It's again, like in other physical retail stores, the overall rating of the product is provided by brand, quality and price. The overall rating is 28, the city average is 15, so we are well ahead. So we can just simply let it go and see how demand increases and the first Cafe Americanos are sold to our customers. Very good. That's one option, and more like the classical gameplay style option, to establish a service firm and sell the services to the customer. Let's move on to another city, for example Seattle, and while remembering in the base game that in the beginning, usually in cities, there's a high demand for office space and commercial buildings. For example, in Seattle, it's now the index is -94. It's always a good idea to establish a commercial building. And this is what we will do now and see what is different while doing that with the service industry DLC. We select as building type the commercial building. We select the one which is the biggest one, and we will place it close to the city CBD because this improves the rating of our commercial building and we can increase the rent a little bit accordingly. Usually the center of the CBD is the stock exchange right here, and we will select here a place which is very, very close to it so that here we see it. As always, the distance to CBD rating and overall rating is quite high. And this also means that we can increase the rent a little bit to maybe 110% so that we earn more through rent. And what is new here is that we can also within the commercial building set up a store. The customer traffic index is quite high with 75. So let's do that. Set up a store, and in this menu we find all the different retail firms and other firms, which will be the service firms, which can be established within this commercial building. As the different store types need different kind of required space, some are possible to be established in these commercial buildings and some are not possible as their size is too high. We will establish another firm and another coffee shop also in the city of Seattle. And here we will do the same as before. We will navigate into the shop and select the layout to prepare and sell the Cafe Americano. And the same as in the previous one, we will here link to the import company to acquire and procure coffee beans, as well as to the seaport to provide paper for preparing the Cafe Americano. Moving on with the simulation. We see now the first Cafe Americano provided. The overall rating is 28. City overall is 14. Very good. So soon demand should increase and the first Cafe Americanos are provided to the customers. To improve our strategic position with our coffee business, our coffee chain, we can invest the same as for any other product type and product class, invest into the brand of the product, the coffee brand, and the quality. For improving the brand, we can here, as there's no unit left for advertising, navigate to the marketing view and add here new media, link to new media, and invest into advertisement spending. As Seattle is a medium-sized city with more than 1 million inhabitants, we need to invest quite a significant amount so that brand awareness increases for our coffee business. The same, we can also improve how we prepare the Cafe Americano in a classical way with a R&D, research and development firm. We navigate to the building types, set up an R&D center in this suburban area, increase training if we wish, look for a layout which serves our case, start R&D. We can click here and show only products currently in production, select the Cafe Americano and decide, for example, for an R&D project of duration of 1 year to have an expected tech advancement of 39. This is actually a good idea to do that, because if we want to once in the coffee shop not import coffee beans but provide to the coffee shop our own coffee beans, we need to grow them in a farm. Let's check how it works. This is where we find coffee, Cafe Americano, prepared with coffee beans and paper. Coffee beans in the farmer's guide we will find will be grown on a coffee tree. The coffee tree can be sowed in July and harvested in January. So as we are in January now, we will need to wait until July, then sow it in a farm, harvest it in January, and provide our own coffee beans to our coffee shops. There's another option to set up a service firm. What we see when we look onto the city, there are 2 already big new buildings appearing on the city map. And those are the new shopping malls. Our competitors, it seems, right from the start already took the opportunity to set up a new shopping mall. 2 for Seattle. And if we look into Chicago, the biggest city in our environment here, we also find already 3 shopping malls set up by our competitors. Quite a lot of competition soon to be appearing here. We will do the same for us now. As we have a lot of initial capital, we will also establish a new shopping mall and compete in Chicago against the 3 already established ones. We will choose this one, this is the biggest one, and place it somewhere on the map where we expect high customer traffic. For example, here, the customer traffic index is 15. Over here, it's 12, so a little bit less. 12 here, so also a little bit less. The specialty on shopping malls is they can hold and house a lot of shops inside, so less space on the city map is needed. However, they themselves are big and huge buildings, so they cannot be placed everywhere on the map. We need to find places where we can actually set them up and enough space is provided. We will choose this location right next to the stock exchange and bank building. And here we see how it looks like when we start to manage a shopping mall like and similar to a real estate. We can set up the rents for new leases when new shops come to our shopping mall, the rents for renewing leases when after the initial lease term of 5 years, the lease is renewed. As we expect some competition, we will now reduce the new lease to make it cheaper for new stores to be established here and pay less rent. At the same time, for renewing leases, when already the shops have quite a significant revenue, we will increase the rent a little bit higher. So because the tendency to switch to another shopping mall is probably not so high. The area customer traffic is 27, and this is what now is included in the overall rating of the shopping mall. And soon as more businesses are established here, the other categories, the other indicators will improve and add to the overall mall rating. boost from service firms, range of products and services, average product and service rating. And now to already boost this shopping mall with a service firm, we will also in Chicago, in this shopping mall by ourselves, set up a new store. And this will be again a coffee shop. This is how it looks like. So one new shop within our shopping mall. We'll click here and again see the expected overview to set up a new coffee shop. We will do as before, provide paper and coffee beans and start preparing the first Cafe Americano and sell it in the shopping mall in our service firm. The overall rating is a little bit less than a city overall, so we will reduce the price to improve the competitive position. And now soon demand should increase and the first Cafe Americanos are sold here. This brings us also to the advantage of shopping malls. One advantage is that it aggregates a lot of stores and shops within a large but not too large area. And additionally, when setting up a new shop or store in a shopping mall, we don't need to buy the land below that. We can simply rent the space. Here, the monthly rent for this coffee shop is a little bit more than 65K per month. So it's a cheaper way of expanding our business because we don't need to invest and buy land below the shop building. What can we do now? Well, we already have started to expand into coffee shops. We can explore now what else options we have with service firms. For coffee, we already know we can prepare and sell the Cafe Americano. There are two more coffee products which can be prepared here, a cappuccino and a latte. And what we see, we need different combination of semi-products to do so. For example, for the cappuccino, we also obviously need milk. For the latte, we also need to add sugar. This means the complexity to prepare it increases a little bit. If we now navigate, for example, to the cake product class, which is needed and required to be sold in a cake shop, we see that the complexity is even higher. For all of the three different product types, the cakes, we need a different combination of crops, of flour and eggs. This to be set up is a little bit more different, takes a little bit more effort and higher investments in the beginning and more time, as we still need to grow the crops, and therefore it's more difficult. It's a higher difficulty to start with a cake shop in the beginning. So my recommendation, and you will read this also in other strategy guides, is to start with setting up a coffee business. The same also applies while we navigate here to the bottom to pizzerias. Also pizzas are quite complex to be produced and prepared, as they need different combinations of products. They are not so high synergies. However, what is very interesting and another business opportunity, once we already use olives, for example, for this pizza, we can also use olives to produce something else and sell it in retail. Together with aluminium, olives can be sold as canned olives in a supermarket, for example. Another product class, which is a little bit easier for a start, is also the fast food, because French fries is also rather simple to be set up. We only need paper and potatoes and then can prepare French fries. In this example, in our scenario, paper, as we know already, is available, but also potatoes are available. So why not establish a fast food joint in one of the cities? We can stay here in Chicago, and this time, to see how it works, we will set up a fast food joint in one of the shopping malls from our competitors. For example, here, let's check the overall rating. It's 12. In this, it's already 23. And in this, it's 22. So why not go here to this one, where we find already a drugstore and add, besides the drugstore, also a fast food joint. This fast food joint can now be entered with this button. We will invest into training, set up the layout to prepare French fries, and link to potatoes from the seaport, as well as paper from the other seaport. And now French fries can be prepared, and the same as before, soon they will appear here to be sold to the customers. The overall rating is fine, so we'll simply leave it as it is and see how demand will now increase and French fries are sold to our customers. Very good. What is different to normal physical retail stores is that those service firms boost the traffic, customer traffic. Here, the customer traffic boost is rated 90. This means they attract customers to come to shopping malls or to specific areas in the city. And first, for example, go there to eat and have some food. And then next, go besides that into the other stores, add to their customer traffic and buy products from there. While we do that, we see that, for example, here for this coffee shop, when we look into where it comes from and look into the detailed view from the supplier, it's the import company in the other city, we see that there are quite high expense for freight, high freight costs. We see that we need to supply them to seaport, need a cargo ship, and then get it back from the seaport in Chicago into the store. And this accounts of more than 70% of the price. So it means we have quite a lot of costs here for freight. And now with the service industry DLC, we can benefit from it, from transporting coffee beans by setting up a logistics business. And let's do that. We find it here under building types, logistics company, and can right away set it up, for example, here, and open the menu to manage it. There are quite a lot of indicators, a lot of parameters to be set to manage this logistics company for local transport and city to city transport. Luckily, we can set all to auto, so that the Capitalism Lab application will manage it by itself. However, if we want to optimize it, probably it's also fun to manage all of those parameters by ourselves. There's also a way to improve the fixed costs and the variable costs of our transportation business by investing into an IT system. What else can we do as a next step after having set up all of this? We could, for example, expand our fast food business and add another product type being sold there. Besides, let's navigate into the right view, fast food and French fries, we could, for example, also provide fried chicken. Flour is provided. Chicken can be acquired through an import company, but frozen chicken can also be produced by our own farm right away. So why not do that? Let's set up a farm here in Chicago, not far away from where we want to sell and prepare the fried chicken. Invest into training, so to improve the quality, set up livestock raising, processing, and sales, like that. Choose livestock chicken, move on by a day, and then choose product frozen chicken, produce it here. There it is. And now move again into, I think it was this, our fast food joint, and add a new floor. And this is where we see how exactly the product classes for service firms and the product service firms themselves are set up to match what is needed. We can set up 3 floors. There are 3 product types per service firm, so we can easily provide all of the different product types in one service firm at once. Fried chicken, set up, lay it out, link to frozen chicken, this one, and we also need another product. And soon fried chicken will be prepared and sold in our store. Here it is. The overall rating is a little bit too low. Let's improve it by lowering the price. Another way would be to increase the brand rating or invest into R&D for quality, as we have done this for the Cafe Americano. And this way, fried chicken is provided and sold in our fast food joint. Now, while we observe what happens here, probably we have excess production of frozen chicken. What to do with it? Frozen chicken can be sold also in any retail, like supermarket, in the cities. But another option is now to also sell it via an export company to overseas to export clients. And this is what we will try out now. We can also, besides the import company, only one in the game, we can also set up one export company. We can set it up here. And this is how the menu of the export company looks like. We see here that we did not find so far, as this is the first day of our export company, any export client, and we don't have any export deal point. Yeah, and this can also only be acquired by increasing the monthly budget for export client search. But again, here we have the option to use knowledge points, and this is again where we need to decide. Do we want to boost our business by exporting and investing knowledge points to specifically select a product to be exported? Or do we want to wait until we have deal points, export clients found, so that we can set up export? This is the decision which needs to be weighted. Just as a reminder, if you go into our person expertise tab here is where the other places where knowledge points can be used to improve the expertise of our person and improve the efficiency, for example, of retailing, farming, marketing, training, or our coffee product expertise. We will do to fast up and make use of what we have in excess production, make use of knowledge points to find an export client to be interested in frozen chicken. Use knowledge points. Again, 3 knowledge points are deducted and we only have 18 left. And this is where we have now our frozen chicken export client, and let's link it to our farm, and soon now we see how revenue flows into our company by exporting frozen chicken. A nice way to also add another revenue stream to our corporation. What to do as next steps in the service industry business we just emerged. For example, if we look into the farmer's guide and look up what potatoes require. Sowing month is April, harvesting month is August. This is also something which is very good for a start, right? We can soon, when starting a game in January, in April already, start growing potatoes, and in August use them to be used for our own French fries. Going to our farm of Chicago, we can, for example, add here crop growing, another crop growing unit and a sales unit, and start to grow potatoes, and soon in August already use them in our own service firm fast food joint. And this way we can grow vertically but also horizontally in different product types and set up a huge service firm empire. However, just as to remind us, it's easiest to start either with French fries in a fast food joint or with a cafe americano, and additionally it's not difficult to expand it to cappuccino for the start. And that's it for a brief overview of all the new features. I'm sure a lot of challenges will appear while doing all of the steps we just discussed, as competitors will also rapidly set up stores and grow in retailing and add to competition. We see already in March 2000, we just started the game, there are 3 more stores in this shopping mall. If we look into our own shopping mall, even 4 more stores are set up. So this is why retailing with the service industry DLC is much faster, as it does not require as much investment to set up a store. Simply rent a space in a shopping mall, which is established by one of the corporations taking part in the simulation, and start your business. Very nice. That concludes our deep dive into the new Capitalism Lab service industry DLC. The introduction of service firms, including cake shops, coffee shops, fast food joints and pizzerias, along with the new coffee and food products, semi-products, crops and production chains, is one of the most exciting additions to the game by the new DLC. Building a leading service empire over the decades, expanding it into multiple chains and navigating the intense competition, especially with the AI, also taking advantage of expanded retail space, will be a tough but engaging challenge. The impact of the new gameplay dynamic is so significant that we will be dedicating a future session specifically to service firms here on the channel. Beyond retail, the new import, export, and logistics companies also bring huge strategic opportunities. Import firms provide much needed access to semi-products and resources that might otherwise be unavailable, while export firms create new revenue streams by selling excess production to global markets, if export clients are interested. Meanwhile, logistics companies transform freight from a simple cost into a potential profit source, provided we can manage all the key performance indicators efficiently. As always, Enlight Software and the Capitalism Lab team continue to refine the game with fresh content, game mechanics, and deeper strategic layers. In my personal view, their commitment to keeping the game engaging is impressive. With this new service industry DLC, Capitalism Lab has once again raised the bar, introducing fantastic new features while also delivering some of the most challenging and engaging gameplay yet. I recommend trying the service industry DLC for yourself. Let me know your thoughts and experiences in the comments and feel free to join the discussion. And of course, I'm specifically looking forward to tackling the service firm challenge with you in an upcoming session. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Light Proton channel for more business, transport and trade content and share this video with anyone who might enjoy it. See you again soon.